the Hooters Cup season approaches halfway, the late model stars have returned to one of their favorite speedways. Hi, everybody. Mark Allen, Bill Hennessy. Pleased that you've joined us here on Prime for live Hooters Cup racing. And, Bill, we're back at the Southern National Speedway. The most recent round, finally, a repeat winner after 7 races. Freddie Query picks up win number 2. But in every other statistical category, parity still prevails.
It's an equal playing field. We've seen it all season long. So far, we've had a different leader at halfway point in every race we've seen so far. Here tonight, an additional ringer has been thrown in. Instead of racing 200 laps, we're racing 250. That additional 50 laps may very well dictate the strategy of tonight's winner.
In fact, there's one driver who has told us that if the circumstances are right, he won't pit at all. We'll tell you who that is a bit later. The third member of our team is Doug Rice, who is standing by with the first-time pole winner.
In 1995, Concord, North Carolina's John Crow was the Rookie of the Year on the Hooters Cup Tour. He captured 2 poles and a victory. So far this season, it's not been quite that green. The sophomore jinx has not been terrible, but you've struggled just a little bit this year, John.
Yeah, the beginning of the year was a little rough. This fall tonight really picked up the team spirits, and we ran good the last race, and we're looking forward to maybe winning this race tonight, hopefully.
Good finish or a win gives you a lot more confidence to go to the next race, doesn't it?
Definitely, we finished third last week at Hickory, and just made the whole trip up here was a lot better. We had feeling good about the whole deal, and this fall tonight makes it even better.
So for John Crow, the 1995 Rookie of the Year on the Hooters Cup Tour, he's looking to capture a little bit of that freshman magic here tonight at the Southern National Speedway.
And tonight's telecast of the Miller 250 is brought to you by Miller. We race for beer. By Hooters Restaurants, home of world-famous chicken wings and the nearly world-famous Hooter Girls. Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky yet unrefined. By Jackaroo Sauce on steaks, chicken, fish, or even French fries. Jackaroo Sauce brings the Outback taste to all your favorite foods. And by Hooterade, the new sports drink from Hooters that gives something back. And we'll be back with the Grid and the Green at Kenley after this. It's a hot, humid evening here at Southern National Speedway in Kenley, North Carolina. 32 cars have rolled from their positions on the front stretch and are forming up for the start of this race. Let's meet the top 10 drivers for tonight's Miller 250 in their own words.
Hi, I'm Artie Landley. I'm driving the Thompson Roof and Mappin Motorsports Chevrolet. I'll be starting second tonight.
Hi, this is Rich Bickle, driving the Terminal Truck and Motorsports Dodge, starting third tonight.
Hi, I'm Tony Walls, driver of number 81, the Emerald Coast Motorsports Monte Carlo. I'm starting fourth, and I'm ready to go.
Hello, I'm Freddie Query. I'll be driving the Terminal Truck in Monte Carlo tonight. I'm starting 5th.
Hi, I'm Mario Gosselin, driving the Pontiac Grand Prix Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. I'll be starting 6th this evening.
Hi, I'm Mike Garvey, driving the Coors Light Silver Bullet. I'm starting 7th tonight.
My name is Dick Anderson. I'm starting in 8th spot in the Mopar Performance Dodge.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. I'm driving a number 68 Wagner Automotive left-hander chassis. I'll be starting 9th.
Hi, I'm David Jude. I'm driving the CC Racing Monte Carlo number 2, and I'll be starting 10.
Looking at the remainder of the 22 pilots in tonight's 250-lap race, Larry Raines will start 11th. Next to him will be Billy Bigley Jr. Then on row number 7, it will be Sean Graham and Derek Kelly.
Going 15th on the grid is Dwayne Dempsey out of St. Petersburg, Florida, flanked by local driver Carl Long from nearby Roxborough. Then Darrell Sheldon from Hialeah, Florida, while the All-Pro champion from last season, Hal Goodson, goes 16th in a Pontiac.
Starting on row 10 will be Nevin Jenkins, a great run at Hickory a couple of races ago, and Sheldon McNair. Then in row 11, it will be Jody Ridley and Ronnie Sanders.
Taking a look at row 12, it's going to be Randy Renfro out of Wilson, North Carolina, the Midco Tire Ford, flanked by Jimmy Cope from Pinellas Park, Florida, the Miller Deere Chevrolet. 25th on the grid is Mike McCrary Jr., Winter Heaver, Florida, in the Nikon Chevrolet. And 26th is Mike Fritz out of Cocoa, Florida, in the Jana King Chevrolet.
Starting 27th will be Randy Fox. 28th on the grid will be Mike Hovis. They both share Life O2 sponsorship in Chevrolets. Mike Frank Franklin will start a provisional position in 29th. 30th will be Ricky Sanders, then Ken Alexander and Shane Rice round out the field. Our Discount Auto Parts Pole Winner Award of $1,000 tonight goes to John Crow. The man who has the most poles at the end of the season will pick up $10,000 from the Discount Auto Parts folks. The Miller Rookie of the Race from Hickory was Randy Renfro. That's worth $1,000 to him. And he also picked up the Scott Performance Wire Hard Charger Award. He started 28th in Hickory and came all the way to 8th. We are just about set to turn him loose. The pace truck has got the light off on the backstretch. 32 drivers set to go, Bill, and this extra 50 laps is going to make it a most intriguing evening.
And a first-timer in the series on the outside of the front row is young Marty Lindley, son of the late, great Butch Lindley, who lost his life in an all-pro race down in Florida back in the early 80s, and the green flag is waving.
And John Crow, Rookie of the Year last year, will lead them to turn 1, and he will take the early pace as the field begins to sort out in single file through the top 6 positions. Lindley is second, followed by Tony Walls. Our series champion, Mario Goslin, sits in 4th, and Dick Anderson, looking to the outside, is in the 5th spot. John Crow has led a couple of races this season, but this is the first time he has done it from the front row. Certainly the first time he has done it from the pole position.
With a brand new color combination on the car, it's all black along with white numerals this time. In the past, it has a lot of white on the car. He lost the sponsorship he was carrying, and he is up front right now in front of young Marty Lindley. The battle is for 3rd place right now as Dick Anderson, diving over to the inside, wants to pick up the position from Tony Walls, who had an excellent qualifying run. They almost get together on the 2nd quarter.
Walls gets loose, and Anderson will tuck back in behind him, but he was able to get around Mario Goslin a lap ago, and will look to the high side this time as he tries to get by Dick Anderson, who led 128 laps here, the first time this series visited Southern National Speedway a couple of months ago, trying to get back to the front again in that Mopar Avenger.
The battle is for 5th place. Mario Goslin there, along with Richie Bickle, side by side. Bickle roaches into 5th place right now. We've got 2 Dodges in the top 5, which is a story in itself. This is Bickle's return since he won down in Florida.
This is only the 2nd time he has visited the series this year, but he won the 2nd ascent at Bradenton. And he is running well in the 5th spot.
Now his teammate is Freddie Query, who is moving up and trying to break into the top 5 at the present time. When you start taking a look at a guy like Freddie Query, who won this race the last time they were here earlier this year, you find out that he has a capable car. He's driving a car, the Freddie Query automobile, that is built by Robert Hamke. The automobile that is earlier in the series is the Richie Bickle car. Bickle's car built in his own shop. That's an RVR chassis.
Now Marty Lindley making his 2nd visit to the series, tried to make a race a few weeks back, but had a little bit of tough luck at Hickory, having a tremendous run here. As we look a little bit further back in the pack, the 8-car Freddie Query is the series points leader. Right behind him is Mike Garvey, coming off the 4th place finish at Hickory. A tough break for Hondo. Randy Fox is in the pits early, and that's the result of contact with another car on the speedway.
This is a very tight racetrack, Mark. Everybody wants to be down at the bottom of the racetrack because it's the quicker line around. Freddie Query was telling me this afternoon that it may be a little quicker to ride up about a lane higher. It's not so slick there. He says you can get the car hooked up a little bit better and really nail it and get off the corners.
And if this is the first time you're joining a Hooters telecast and you're looking at those pit crewmen saying, my gosh, they're strong, they tore that metal away as if it was nothing. Well, those are fiberglass panels on all 4 corners of the race car. The bumper, both front and rear, is rubber, and we've got aluminum on the doors and on the roof. So that gives you a sense of the composition of these race cars. But right now, we've got a good race being composed up front as Dick Anderson trying to move forward after an early DNF at Hickory. A little bit of contact in his car. He had the nose shoved in, the engine was overheating, and it was just better to park it for the night than to abuse the power plants.
Here in the early doors, we've been green for a number of laps. Since the opening lap of competition, that has not normally been the case each time we have visited this racetrack. Usually what happens is we have a big pileup down in turn number 1 and slow everybody down. Looks like tonight we're on a very quick pace.
The last time we were here, there were 17 yellows, a red flag, and an altercation in the pits. But in most recent races, everybody's been on better behavior. It's contact. Mario Goslin will get a hard nudge. And he is able to keep it straight, and Freddie Query did a terrific job of keeping his car under control. The Vulgar damage in significant trouble for the Jackaroo number 10.
Yellow is waiting. There's a part of his tire looks like resting down at the end of the pit lane and scrubbed off the inside. He just goes by it right there. He has definitely knocked the front toe end totally out. Perhaps he has broken a tie rod in or bent a tie rod, but it is towed out, and that car is not steering worth a darn. It's amazing how well he's able to just kind of negotiate his way around right now.
And this could have had and may still have significant ramifications in the points, which we'll explain to you in just a moment. Let's take another look and see if we can determine what happened to the reigning series champion.
He may have had a problem, because the car started to skate around, and then Freddie kind of backs up, stands on the brakes, trying to get off of him. He's trying to correct it.
Standing by.
And Freddie gathers him up as he hits the left front quarter on the car, and that's what did the damage to the steering assembly across the front.
And Goslin has come to the pits. Freddie Query is staying out, and Randy Fox is also back in the pits. But here's a driver who at the most recent race said, oh, there's a monkey on my back. Let's go to the pits, and Doug Rice, who is in Goslin's pit.
The number 10 Mario Goslin entry in the pits, and this is an all too familiar sight for the defending Hooters Cup champion. As you can see, damage to the left front quarter panel of the car. All that fiberglass is cracked up. What looks to be worse, though, and Bill Hennessy pointed this out, it looks like the A-frame steering control up front is also bent on this car, and they have probably got some serious steering problems, and Mario has already killed the engine. So for Mario Goslin, any hope of breaking that long losing streak that he's lived through in 1996 has already disappeared tonight. He'll be several laps down before he gets back into the competition here.
The driver who will be coming to the pits momentarily, Darrell Shelnut in the 7 car. When he comes around this time by, you're going to see the reason he has to come to the pits. We'll just let you judge for yourself what he's dragging, but what a remarkable story this is. About 2 hours before the race, it's been very hot and humid, and you see what he's dragging, part of the exhaust pipe. A couple hours before the race, it was very hot and humid here today, and his mother passed out in the pits. Well, he went to the hospital with her, and there was some question if he would be able to get back to the track in time to start that Chevrolet, but he is indeed back. He needs a little bit of work before he'll go back on the Speedway.
Well, they removed the exhaust pipe from the car. It was barely hanging on to the fiberglass, so he's back in without losing a lap. Now we see Hondo, Randy Fox, pulling down the pit lane and back into the racing wars after having trouble with his right front fender.
Field of single file, the pace truck's off the track, and we are ready to go back green as John Crow will bring it back to starter Dick Westfall, and we're back at speed. Marty Lindley sits in second, Tony Walls third, Dick Anderson fourth, and Rich Biffle sits in the fifth spot. We will keep an eye on the 8 car of Freddie Query to see how much damage he has on the series points leading Chevy.
It's amazing that the right front fender on that car isn't rubbing on the tire. If it was, we'd be seeing a lot of white smoke off of it. But he's just kind of hanging in there, but he is getting a challenge from Mike Garvey.
And Mike Garvey is looking downstairs as Query was high on the Speedway coming off of turn 2. And that will be a sign of possible trouble. And we're going to keep an eye on that because that is a major development. Freddie Query has been all but bulletproof, while Jimmy Cope, who finished second at Hickory, had to go through the qualifying race. Had a little bit of problem with horsepower in the engine during his qualifying session last night, and he is moving his way through the field. We saw him do this at the first Kenley race as well.
He knows how to work around this racetrack. He's very, very smooth. Going through the qualifying race may have helped him dial in the car a little bit better for this evening's activities.
25 laps are on the board. We've got 250 here for you tonight. We've only had 1 yellow, which is good news. The weather around us had been threatening at times earlier this evening, and I'm sure every one of the teams looked up at the sky and said, let's get to lap 125 as far forward as we can get just in case Mother Nature decides to intervene.
The driver who's advancing through the field is Mike Garvey in the 42, the Coors machine. He's battling with Freddie Query. There he is right there. Now this driver, Garvey, only ran his car for a few laps this afternoon. He said, I am dialed in. I'm ready for this evening. I set my car up last evening. I am ready to win here this evening. He may be in that position.
And when Mike Garvey says his car is handling well, it's not false bravado for the benefit of the media. He's very his race car is performing. And when he says something like that, that's not particularly good news for everybody else.
Well, he had the car under the cover and on jack stands from the time I arrived here at the racetrack at 1:30 this afternoon. It tells me that he's got a machine that he feels capable of running the 250 laps. The additional 50 laps beyond what we normally run here may pose a problem for a lot of these teams because there's an anticipated pit stop. A couple of drivers tipped you off that they plan to go the distance.
The one driver that I talked to that stands out is Rich Bickle. He said if we get 30 laps of caution and we get them early enough in this race, I may very well try to go the distance. And it makes sense for him, too, because he's not running for the series championship. He wants to go for that $15,000 top prize, and he thinks that might be the best way to do it.
His strategy may pay off because this race may not run true to form with a lot of yellows this evening. Whoa, Sheldon McNair gets kind of tagged by Nevin Jenkins, and Mike Fritz goes down the back straightaway. Several cars spinning around, and now the track almost blocked midway the back straightaway.
And Ricky Sanders is the number 20 car, also involved in our second caution on lap 33.
Fritz will turn his car around. That's the black and white 14. Sanders is staying tagged to the rear end of Sheldon McNair, a local driver who is looking forward to a good run this evening. Now Sanders starting to pull off. Looks like McNair is stalled on the racetrack. This is lap 34 in the books.
And so what we're going to do now, while the safety crews attend to the stricken Sheldon McNair car in the backstretch, is to take this first break. And we'll be back with more action from Southern National Speedway on Prime right after this.
That involves something to do with his mother.
And welcome back to Southern National Speedway. We continue under caution. Development on pit road. We mentioned for you near the top of the show that Daryl Shellnut's mom had to be taken to the hospital after she had passed out here before. Daryl Shellnut has climbed from his race car and will be leaving the Speedway. There he is sprinting out the backstretch. Of course, we wish his mom the very best. Shellnut's heart just wasn't in it tonight, as the driver from Hialeah, Florida, has had a difficult season so far, and this certainly doesn't help it any. Let's go to Doug Rice in the pits.
We just saw a couple of cars come in that got tangled up in that mess out there. Ricky Sanders was one of them. Mark Johnson's on his crew. Mark, it looked like the damage looked really bad, but apparently it wasn't. It looked really bad, but apparently it wasn't all that serious.
It was just sheet metal. It closed up the opening in the front where the air goes into the radiator. We opened it back up. He had to pit because he couldn't see where he was going. It buckled the hood up, so we just pulled the hood off basically, and nothing on the front end's damaged in the steering linkage and all that, so he's in good shape.
All right, that's Mark Johnson with the Ricky Sanders crew, and a very good idea that Ricky was able to come in and pit that time, especially since he could see. Good for him and good for the other 31 cars out there tonight.
All right, thanks, Doug. And a couple of moments ago, Shane Rice came to the pits, as did Nevin Jenkins. Nevin had an outstanding run at Hickory a couple of weeks back, was as high as fourth in the late going when he and Scott Hansen got together. Got credit for a ninth place finish, but that certainly, Bill, was not indicative of what a tremendous performance that he had from the Homosassa, Florida-based driver.
Well, he had a brand new Mike Hammer engine in the car, and he said the crew had set it up perhaps the best it had been all season long. He said, I felt comfortable in the car for a change. I could really drive it anywhere I wanted. He said, I could have had a third place. I got a little too aggressive in trying to advance through the field, got together with Scott. He says, I actually regret that incident happening for Scott's sake, and especially for mine.
And we'll continue under caution for a couple of moments, and here's the reason we remain at half speed, actually at third speed, as a little bit of trouble there for Sheldon McNair, and just a slight touch from Nevin Jenkins on the way by.
He was carrying a lot of momentum off the quarter, and Sheldon had probably just touched his brakes or he backed out of the throttle, and in doing so, he broke his momentum. And I don't believe Nevin would have run into the back of him. It's kind of early to be that aggressive, especially off the second quarter. But he barely tagged him and sent him around.
And let's have a further update on action in the pits.
One of the most popular drivers on the circuit is Hondo, Randy Fox. Randy, you're out of it early. What put you out, bud?
Well, I guess what you say, one of those $3 items. The power steering pump belt broke. When it broke coming off a 2 over there, we got an outside wall. It's messed the car up now. But, you know, the Clayton Oldham Chevy Monte Carlo was, you know, we were going to have a pretty good run tonight. We had a pretty good car, but we didn't qualify well, and we've been behind the 8 ball all day. But we finally got the car straightened out in the last practice, and I don't know, you know, it's just one of those days.
So for Randy Fox, they got here and started practicing about 10 o'clock this morning. His day ends very, very early once they drop the green flag.
And speaking of green flag, it's back out. 14-car Mike Fritz, he is a lap car as battle is joined once again between John Crow and Marty Shelf and Marty Lindley.
Have you ever had your car's ignition cut off on you with power steering and how hard it is to turn the car into the driveway at about 15 miles an hour? How would you like to have the same sensation about 130 going into turn 3?
And Marty Lindley just drifted up the Speedway, gave away second place. That is now Dick Anderson has moved up, and now Bickle underneath. He takes over third. Lindley is backpedaling.
Bickle's car is quite potent. It's already earned a very nice track record, Mark, having picked up 2 out of 3 wins up north.
And the Slinger Nationals, yeah, that was a tremendous run for him earlier this week and the first real shakedown for that Dodge.
And he said, I'm bringing the car in here. It's a car of my own design. He said, it is near perfect in the way that it's performing. He's had a little problem with some of the officials today. They say his bodywork does not conform to 5-star specifications, so this will be the last time he'll have this body on this car. It'll have to be replaced before Birmingham. But like you told the viewers a little early, this is not a regular routine for him. He is just visiting the series on occasion, but he does put on a stellar performance when he does visit for the Hooters Cup.
Bickle dominated at the second race as Crow got a little twitchy off of turn 2, allowing Anderson to close right up on him. Keep an eye on that for just a couple of moments to see if that is an indication of maybe the handle just going away ever so slightly on that lead, number 38. Now there's Jody Ridley starting back in the 21st spot. We're getting real used to seeing this. The Skull Ford always moves up through the field, hardly ever a scratch on it, and that's what Ridley's doing right now.
Randy Renfro right behind him, the local driver who had to get into the show via the qualifying race just as Ridley did. But this being a 250-lap event may play very well to Jody Ridley's typical driving strategy. He seems to come on later in the race, especially when there's an event beyond 200 laps. So this could be the night that may reward him with his first victory on the Tour.
He started 21st. He's up to 17th. That's not a big move forward, but Ridley doesn't usually bite off great big chunks of real estate. He does it quietly. He does it efficiently. And lo and behold, at the end of the race, he's still on the lead lap, and he's got himself a top 5 finish. And that's what's got him second in the series points. In 1996, the only driver to have completed every single lap so far this year.
Marty Lindley there right behind the Mike Garvey mount. Talking to him a little earlier, he says he feels real confident that he can run with these guys, especially in this series. He says, I'm not letting them overshadow or intimidate me. I'm here to win this race. I'll do everything I can to follow in my dad's footsteps. He certainly made his mark in NASCAR racing, especially in what was called the old sportsman division before it became Busch Grand National.
And you're looking at the proud new owner of that Coors Light Chevrolet. Mike Garvey bought the team outright from the Horton brothers right after the Hickory race. He said, I love being my own boss. He said, lots of pressure, of course, but he said, I don't have anybody to answer to but myself. And I think that all of us, certainly in Winston Cup ranks, everybody out there is leaning more and more toward being their own car owner, except when you've got a boss like Rick Hendrick or Richard Childress. But it is a trend that we're seeing more and more as drivers continuing to try to control their own fate.
Oftentimes, the car owner or the crew chief will second-guess the driver. They second-guess him to the point that it devastates his morale. And then he has to more or less step aside or go through a situation that is...
And we got trouble on the front stretch as the race leader gets into the Ken Alexander 03 car. He was already 1 lap down. He will be more than that now for our third yellow on lap 57.
Ken Alexander, a very bold-hearted competitor, spinning down the front straightaway after coming off the nose of the race leader, John Crow. spun down the front straightaway. Looks like he's gathered it all back up. But here's a guy that really likes racing as much as he likes quarter horses. And he won 5 first places last weekend up in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Quarter Horse Association. Taking a look at the replay on this incident, he kind of comes down the racetrack, and Crow gets into his left rear quarter panel. The momentum carries him around. Crow dives to the outside of the racetrack, and of course Dick Anderson wanted to take advantage of that situation. He didn't get into the inside retaining wall, so he's just basically flat spotted the tires.
Ken Alexander's first race of the season after several attempts at qualifying was here at Cantley a couple of months ago, and he had an eventful evening in respect of having several incidents, a few spins, and it looks like it's deja vu for him so far tonight. Only one spin. It's still early. A lot can happen. Only lap 60 on the board, 190 to go, but we'll start to watch as these middle laps unfold what driver's pit strategy will be. And speaking of the pits, let's check back in with Doug Rice.
It's fairly early on, but Dick Anderson's starting to make a move. He started back around 7th or 8th. You guys are already up to the runner-up spot, David Ray. What's he saying?
Well, right now, the car's just a little bit loose, and we're just trying to go easy right now and take care of our tires till we get a new set. But everything's going all right now.
I'm glad you had your back that way. I'm glad you had your back to him a minute ago when he almost got collected in that mess.
Yeah, that's what he come across the radio and said. He knew he was going to be in that wreck. All the bad luck we've had here lately, but maybe everything will turn out all right.
All right, maybe the luck's starting to turn around here for Dick Anderson tonight. He missed the first wreck. He's got about 190 more laps, though, to keep dodging them.
Until we get a new set. He's going to give up a lot of track position when that happens. So that means that he's due for a tire change. Maybe one of these drivers that can hang on will take over that #1 position and be able to move towards the front without that tire change. That is the strategy of several drivers in the field.
Well, let's reset the top 10 for you as we're back to speed. John Crow continues the leader. Dick Anderson is second. Now he's getting some pressure from Rich Bickle. Then quite a gap back to 4th place. Tony Walls. 5th is Freddie Query, so the damage appears to be cosmetic, although it was a pretty good lick earlier with Mario Gosselin. Then it's a Mike Garvey. Marty Lindley is fading a bit. Matt Kenseth, David Jude, and Billy Bigley. Right behind him is the Al Goodson Hooter 8 car, and to his inside is the 37 of Larry Brain. So those are your top 12 cars on the Speedway.
Jerry Kelly almost on the outside retaining wall as Jimmy Cope came by him, and they're still racing fairly tightly as they come across the start-finish line. And there is contact down in the first corner. The cars going everywhere, trying to avoid David Jude and Matt Kenseth. They lock together.
And everybody stays aimed in the right direction, but it does bring out caution. And we'll take this chance to get a break in and be back with more action. Hooters Cup from Southern National Speedway. Stay with us.
Coming out of the back end of his race car.
The action is in the pits as Matt Kenseth, part of that most recent incident, has come in for right side tires and fuel. The window, Bill, is now starting to open up as we get to the point in the race where strategy that we talked about at the top of the telecast begins to play out.
Freddie Query told me he would like to stop somewhere between laps 65 and 150. He said that's a nice, comfortable window. Knowing him, though, he will try to stretch it as far as he possibly can. Then he will take it on tires and try to make a charge back towards the front of the pack. And honestly, Lee, that will be the same type of strategy that a Dick Anderson or a Rich Bickle would use. But Bickle has indicated to you he may stay on the tires for the 250 laps. That's how confident he is in the chassis setup.
We've had about 20 laps of caution so far. He said he only needed 35 to be able to possibly stretch it to the distance. So we're just going to keep an eye on that and see if that strategy works out, or if the hand goes away, then maybe he has to come in and make some chassis adjustments. That's the beauty of racing. It is a high-speed chess game, and it's being played out at almost 100 miles an hour around this 4/10-mile Southern National Speedway, run very effectively and very beautifully by the Lamb family. And look at Anderson looking downstairs. This could be, as we've got a pile up in turn 4. David Jude is the car high on the speedway. Everybody else seems to be getting by in good order, but Anderson's challenge goes for naught as the caution waves once again.
everyone was standing on the binders to keep from running into David Jude, and in doing so, they started running into cars directly in front of them. One of them that sustained a considerable amount of damage to the nose of his car is Sean Graham out of Somerville, South Carolina, former Winston Racing Series regional champion. Here comes Jude, trying to find his way back around to the pits. And that's the second time he's been involved in a caution here in the last 20 laps.
The rookie points leader is getting on-the-job education, and he's getting it one fender at a time throughout many of the races so far this year. Here's another look at the fourth incident of the evening. And, well, I'll tell you what, nose tail right there, and a lot of people are going to have little dents from that, but doesn't look like anything real serious. As cooler heads pretty much prevailed out. Ronnie Sanders there, he got a little nudge from behind there, and he goes down to the apron of the track, but he seems to be the one that was most seriously impacted, and that's not too bad at all.
He got nailed by Sean Graham in the rear. What actually happened there was Hal Goodson started braking and giving up there because he didn't want to run into Jude, who was on the high side of the racetrack, and it caused a chain reaction behind him.
Well, let's go to the pits, and Doug Rice is with our series points leaders crew chief.
Freddie Query is the only driver this season so far to have 2 victories. He's going to have to rally tonight if he makes it 3. Mark Lanfear is his crew chief. Mark, the front end of that car is really wrinkled up. How's it affecting the handling?
He's got a little push down in the middle of the corner. It made it a little bit worse. Short runs, he's a little tight, but it loosens up. He's fine on a long run.
Is there something you can bring it in?
Yeah, we open the stagger up a little bit. So when we change tires, we got a patch we're going to put on the nose. Hopefully that'll take care of it.
So the series points leader, Freddie Query, got to do some work on that car to get it back in the top running order.
And John Crow did all the work he could to keep Dick Anderson second, but not anymore. The Mopar Dodge has gone to the front on lap 76.
The quicker way around the racetrack for Dick Anderson was on the high side. He did it the hard way, riding out there for a little over a lap before he was able to finally forge into the lead. But the Dick Anderson machine with the Joey Arrington-built motor is riding in first place. The Monte Carlo in second, and third place is another Dodge product. Bickle under contract to race for Richard Petty this year, and the Craftsman Truck Series found himself, after he read the small print, that he had to drive a Dodge in this competition.
In fact, any time that he drives anything in stock car or stock truck racing in 1996, it's got to be a 5-letter word, Dodge,
in which the cars are eligible. That leaves a little opening for a possibility of a Winston Cup ride later this year.
And we'll just leave that intriguing possibility wide open, folks, as John Crow is trying to make a move back on Anderson, trying to regain the top spot. There are bonus points awarded for drivers who lead the most laps. 5 bonus points will go to somebody tonight for being at the point for the most circuits. John Crow already picked up 5 bonus points and $1,000 for being our fast qualifier, and he has led laps tonight. It all goes toward a season-ending payout, $500,000+ in the Red Dog Beer Points Fund at the end of the 1996 campaign. Will be paid out at the National Banquet to be held in Atlanta, Georgia, early part of 1997. And look at Freddie Query has to hang on as he gets by Tony Walls and picks up a position. And so Mike Garvey goes by, and Marty Lindley will see if he can't work his way back toward the front.
Lindley is really a strong racer. Walls seems to be losing a little speed. The last lap for the leaders, just a little over 15 seconds, 15.10. An incredible lap. These laps are so quick, it's almost a dizzying pace. You take a look at these drivers, and you just wonder how they're able to maintain concentration, because they're constantly into a left turn, almost full time, with the exception of the short straightaways here in Kenly, North Carolina.
Bickle got his first one of the season at an event where he admitted it in the final 10 laps he had a tire going down. So, Query I'm talking about here. Rich Bickle had a leaking oil pan in the victory he got. They're both terminal trucking drivers. And Query said, you know, I've had a bit of luck on my side this year, but I've also had some bad luck. For instance, at Anderson, their big wreck when a driver lost a motor, he got swept into a wreck with John Crow, and it's really the only bad finish he's had this season. He has been a model of consistency and performances. Al Goodson, the reigning All-Pro champ, goes inside a long-time foe, Billy Bigley, and he'll pick up a spot. That's for 9th.
That puts him in the top 10 now. He's been feeling more comfortable each and every week he's racing the Pontiac. 75 pounds less weight on the nose of his car than what he normally runs, which is a Thunderbird. He says, I'm saving the Thunderbird for my all-pro competition, but here, Pontiac is the choice.
And Larry Raines is also to work by in the 28, as does Jimmy Cope, as Cope has now worked his way into the top 10 as well. Mr. Excitement, and look, Query has got all he can handle in that 8 car. He almost went sideways in 2.
Well, he's coming up on a car that's several laps down now. David Jude. And Jude, you see that white smoke that's being emitted from right behind the hood, right into the windshield? That is the overflow off the vent on the radiator. There's a little canister right there that takes the overflow, and it is now spouting forth a little geyser of steam.
Everyone is settling down as we have completed 91 laps. David Jude will be coming to the pits, and we will be going to a break with Dick Anderson in front. Crow, Bickle, Walls, and Query, your top 5. Back in Kentley in a moment. Southern National Speedway, Hooters Cup action. This is the battle for third. The 43 is Rich Bickle. Right behind him is nominal teammate Freddie Query. Bickle driving the Terminal Trucking Dodge, and we talked with him before the race about some of his early impressions of driving that Dodge body style and power plant. Trouble at turn 1.
Balance-wise, aerodynamically, and the motor program seems to be pretty decent with a 390 carburetor. We're working on some other things right now for, maybe to help the truck a little bit. We're a little bit down there with the truck motor, but this motor here seems to be real well and competitive, and now this, I think we're just looking for longevity and working on that program.
And just as we go to a soundbite, wouldn't you know, we have a caution on the track as Ronnie Sanders' motor erupted in flames. It quickly extinguished itself, and that brings that incident to a happy conclusion, but that brings out the yellow for the 6th time and brings up some interesting questions about who will stay out and who will pit.
Well, Jimmy Cope is heading down the pit lane. Billy Bigley, who was backing up through the field, is now on the pit lane. Devin Jenkins is back down, and Freddie Query is on the pit lane.
And just moments before, he had begun to shed some fiberglass off the right front portion of that car, so this may be a good break for him.
On Query's car, they're going to the right side, along with Billy Bigley's car, taking on right side rubber. So is Jimmy Cope and Devin Jenkins.
Jimmy Cope back out at first Augustine.
Ronnie Sanders had quite a ball of fire beneath his feet. As we take a look at the replay, apparently whatever he pulled on the engine broke an oil line and then erupted in flames along the back straightaway, but he's okay now, as we just saw just how hot it got in the 18 car. Once again, we'll take another look at it from another angle.
And that's a classic definition of a hot foot. He's sponsored by Country Fed Meats, and I think those meats are medium well at the moment. As Freddie Query got caught in the pits, there was some contact with other cars. Pace car had passed him, so he will go a lap down, and we'll be back to reset the field and get back to green right after this. We're under caution for the 6th time for the engine failure of Ronnie Sanders. We're going to be a few laps here as there is oil all around the racetrack, and this gives us an opportunity to drop our cameras as what we call dropping through the field, and that gives us a chance to show you all the drivers that are running out here tonight, not necessarily in their position in the running order, but just to let you know everybody that's out there. And we start with Ken Alexander.
Ken is back at the tail end of the field there. He's having a difficult time with the problems he's had. Now we're looking at Jody Ridley there.
In the Skoll Ford, the series number 2 points man, and the only man, as we mentioned a moment ago, to complete every single lap this season. Auburndale, Florida's Derek Kelly, one of the rookie contenders, sits in the next spot on the Speedway in the white number 6. We just saw Matt Kenseth go by in the 68. The 9 is Dwayne Dempsey, and here are some of the other cars as they are setting up on the Speedway.
43 was Sean Graham. The 16 car was the automobile, of course, of the defending All-Pro champion Hal Goodson. Lots of drivers came in during this yellow, which we did not show you on camera. scramble because we were way on break to take on tires all the way around. Freddie Query was caught in the pits and went a lap down. Some of the others in to take on 4 tires all the way around were Jimmy Cope. He came in and took 4 tires. And one driver who came in and took right side tires was the 43 of Rich Bickle. Now, Bickle was the one that told us he may be able to go the entire distance, and yet he has changed his mind here at lap 109.
And you never know if they're not playing cat and mouse with us just a little bit, although I honestly believe Bickle was going to make every sincere effort to do it. But you got to look at the handle on the race car. Lots of questions about that. Here comes Bickle back down pit road, as many of the drivers are making what they believe will be the only pit stop of the evening.
Bickle will take on left side tires on the second stop. But that 4-tire stop cost Freddie Query. Perhaps we could recapture exactly what happened to him, because he went down a lap in that particular pit stop, and in doing so, it may have dropped him out of contention for the man who's leading the points.
And maybe the hardest contact of that incident was a race official who you saw fall off his stand over there in the entrance to turn 3. He's up and he's okay. Bickle back out onto the speedway. The car we showed you a little while earlier that looked like, wait a minute, it looks like he's got taped numbers on his door. The 88 car of Shane Rice. Well, that's exactly what it was. He went out in the last chance qualifier in the 00 car, but then following that race made an arrangement with another car owner and climbed into his machine and put the 88 numerals on it. Let's go down to the pits and Doug Rice.
Couple of notes from here in the pits as far as drivers that had to come in and make pit stops during this caution flag. Of course, you guys were talking about Rich Bickley made 2 stops, left side 1 time, right side on the other time. Freddie Query also had to make 2 stops. He wanted to get it all done in 1 stop, but they couldn't get the left front change. He got caught and went a lap down, so it was a really bad stop for Freddie Query, whose car was actually running pretty good considering how much damage he was showing at the time. So a couple of the contenders have already fallen back here as we get a little bit past halfway.
All right, thank you, Doug. And let's reset the field there. Freddie Query is a lapped car. He is on the inside, and you can bet he is going to do everything in his power to catch up to Dick Anderson, but Anderson gets a terrific jump, and there will be no battle at this point. Hooters officials are looking at it. They're saying the restart was okay, and Anderson gets the big jump that he needed. But remember now, Query has got 4 pressure tires.
Query has 4 pressure tires, and he could only take on 4 during the entire duration of this race. Hooters officials, before the event, told all the drivers you'll have 4 extra tires. You can use them any way you want, but you only have 4. Once you use them, they're gone.
And if you wonder how important new tires are, well, you've just seen the evidence. In 2 laps, Freddie Query makes up 5 car lengths and shoots by Dick Anderson as if he was standing still.
He's on the tail end now of the lead lap, but he's going to have to stay in front of a very potent Dodge with a Joey Arrington-built motor. Frankie Grill's chassis, and believe you me, they've got a very nice setup under that car because Dick Anderson has been showing the way for a considerable number of laps so far.
And one of the things that was, there's a little nudge between Mike Hovis and Nevin Jenkins in the blue and yellow 3 car as action is jumbling up in turn 4. Everybody's trying to get by Ken Alexander and is able to do so. But to finish the thought on the tires, these tires will be real strong for 40 or 50 laps. Then they'll fall off just ever so gradually. Then they'll stabilize. And the question is, by pitting early, how big an advantage is that? And that's only something we can watch. A lot of factors go into a tire's performance, and most especially the chassis.
Well, now Query and everybody who took on tires are now using their tires up. They're into their second set. Dick Anderson still has a set of tires waiting for him in the pits, along with John Crow, Mike Garvey, Tony Walls, and Larry Raines. Also, Marty Lindley did that pit. Another driver that has moved up considerably well, and we'll get a shot on him, and that's Jody Ridley. Jody's sitting just outside the top 5 now, lingering just where he would like to be in a long green flag run.
We are approaching the halfway point at Southern National Speedway, and Dick Anderson is vying to become the first driver this season to have more than 1 halfway award to his credit. Will he get it? We'll have the answer when we return to Hooters Cup action, the Miller 250 here. This is not had an unscheduled pit stop. We've had a single car spin. Sean Graham went around. So Jody Ridley has decided to come in and take on right side tires, as has Tony Walls and Derek Kelly. This is on lap 125, and that's halfway, which means that Dick Anderson becomes the first driver this season to win more than one halfway award. That's $1,000 to he and his team from the country-fed meats, folks. So let's go to the pits quickly, and Doug Rice says we're a half a lap from going back to green.
Robert Chapin is the crew chief for the Mike Garvey machine. Of course, Mike's here in a car that he now owns. Looks like Mike is really rock steady, and you guys are running on old tires.
Yeah, the Coors Light Chevrolet feels, he says a little bit off, but next time we pit, we hope we can get him picked up. He's kind of just biding his time.
You're going to wait till one more caution in before you come in?
Probably two more.
All right, so they're going to go as long as they can on this initial set of tires for Mike Garvey.
And as we go back to green, you will see it at the top of your screen as we follow Dick Anderson around. The smoke that you saw was Freddie Query. He spun coming back to the green, went down pit road. He'll come to the attention of his crew. He has gone 2 laps down. This is the most trouble our series points leader has had since Anderson when he crashed.
Looks like he's got problems on the left rear tire. Perhaps Doug Weiss can check on that. But when he came into turn 4, the car just looped around. I don't think he had any intentions of going to the pits.
Let's go to Doug.
Freddie Query, a lot of damage on the left rear of that car when he came in that time around, but he was able to get that left rear tire replaced, and he goes away. So for Freddie Query, could have been disastrous. It was merely just bad.
Now remember, that left rear tire is one of the tires he took off the car earlier because he couldn't put a brand new one on. And now spin out of the 4th corner there.
Hal Goodson has gone around. Everybody is looking high, looking low, and getting by. It remains a single car incident, and Hal Goodson can breathe again.
Don't believe Hal's too happy with what happened because he was caught on the nose of another car. As he comes around the racetrack, he's probably going to come in and have his tires checked, or he may have a few words with someone.
Hal Goodson, who has had a tremendous run going at Hickory, led most of that race, then began to have ignition problems and backpedaled through the field. But he is beginning to show the kind of performance that everybody was expecting from him when he came across from the All-Pro Series in 1996 to run the Hooters Cup Tour.
He's been getting more comfortable in the car with each and every race. He picked up a Pontiac from Lee McAllister, borrowed one to run down at New Smyrna Speedway, and had a car under construction. He liked it to make it a Pontiac.
And Dick Anderson, our leader, has come in. So that means John Crow is back on the point. But Anderson on lap 133 comes in, takes tires. Jody Ridley also in and took on left side tires. So now he has 4 fresh pieces of Goodyear rubber on his Ford.
We're getting ready to go green flag racing again. As a matter of fact, the Dodge safety truck is not off the racetrack yet. The green flag is waving, and everybody coming back to full song.
I mean, it wasn't funny, but when he looked in his rearview mirror, he saw the field coming on him, and he got on pit road in a big hurry.
It's up to the leader to bring the field back up to green. The man who is suffering the misfortune was back in for the inside tires that he had not picked up yet, and that was Dick Anderson, and now he is running on the tail end of the lead lap.
But if he gets a caution, he'll be able to catch right back up and hook himself up onto the tail end of the lead lap cars. So it is not that big a disadvantage, just as long as he keeps himself on the lead circuit. So up front now, that puts John Crow ahead by just a car length over Mike Garvey. Garvey told us before the race that he wouldn't fit till about lap 150. Well, we're only 13 away from that. And we're going to take a break and come back to all the high-speed action of the Hooters Cup Series here on Prime. We are back, and the leaders are Marty Lindley has gone around here in the front stretch on lap 144. The leaders just passed him by without incident, but now that sets the crews up once again to decide if they come in for left side tires or if those who have not pitted at all come in for that all-important stop. And we would not be at all surprised to see John Crow, the race leader, come in, and here he is. He presents himself on pit road, and the Robert Hamke crew will go to work. Also, Larry Raines, who was running third. We hadn't talked much about him. He is also in and will come to the attention of his crew. Jody Ridley back in for left side attention.
This may be a quick turnaround on this yellow flag as we see Dick Anderson charge his way down to the inside lane of traffic, and now he's going to try to make it back around to the pits before we go green flag racing again, perhaps to get an adjustment on his tire pressure or something. The car not quite up to full sog the way he would like to have it.
And a very slow stop for what was our race leader, as he is now just pulling away from the pits. He came in first. He gave up a couple of positions to cars who were also on the same lap with him. Now Dick Anderson comes back to the pits to get his left side tires, so then he will have 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on his machine. At least they'll be within 20 laps of each other, and we'll watch Dick Anderson. He will also remain on the lead lap. But the real battle, Bill, just to jump in for a second, is as the field gets ready to reform for the restart, we're going to see lapped cars along the lines of a Freddie Curry and some other drivers working their darndest to get back in contention.
Well, Freddie is now elected to come back to the pits. He's got a lot of damage on the race car. He is now running for points, I believe. I believe he's out of contention for the win. John Crow coming in right behind him. We see him pass Freddie Query right there in the pits. Now he's going to go to the left side tires. Most of these drivers have stretched it out as long as they possibly could.
Let's go back to the pits. Doug Rice, who is in the middle of the action.
John Crow, who was leading this race when this caution came out. This is his second time in the pits, the first time for right side tires. Now back in for left side Goodyear Eagles. The first time it seemed like it took them an eternity. Now his car stalls. They push him away. John Crow, the rookie of the year last year, is back into the fray. Also tonight's pole sitter. Second stop, much better under this caution than his first one.
And Jimmy Cope, that is not a good sign either. He was up to fourth and moving forward, Bill.
Car is overheating. Telltale geyser of steam being emitted from the overflow. This may not be terminal, though. Once he gets the car moving and the grill cleaned off, the radiator will start cooling it down, as you can start to tell right now.
And you can tell there's a little bit of buckle on the hood. One of his crew members came out and actually kicked the screen right on the front. Green flag, ready to go back to green flag action. Westfall turns them loose again. And we've got Mike Garvey, a handful of Tony Walls, who we see unofficially as a lapped car. So Tony Walls trying to get himself back on the lead circuit and has been able to do so.
So is Freddie Query. He wants a lap back also as he's in front of Matt Kenson going through turns 1 and 2. A number of these cars have yet to make stops for tires, and they're going to get run down by some of these drivers who have fresh rubber on.
So Mike Garvey is setting the pace. Freddie Query a couple of laps down, but trying to work his way forward to at least win his lap, and that's very important when there are a number of cars that finish on the lead lap and many cars that finish 1 lap down. Do the best you can, at least win your lap if you're not going to win the race.
The payoff is phenomenal for this series at the end of the year. Down in Atlanta, Georgia, they're going to have a banquet, and they're going to pay over $100,000 in points fund money to the champion.
Top 5. Let's set it for you as we see it. There is Mike Garvey, the leader. Second on the track is Matt Kenseth. He's only third on the track now as Matt Kenseth, as just moments ago, Rich Bickle got by, and he is closing in a hurry on Garvey. At first, he's got to get around as, hang on, Freddie Query, and Query goes up into the fence in turn 1.
Yellow waving once again. Freddie Query's car. The handle is obviously going completely away on the machine. The man who was leading the points coming into this contest.
And a long, long night for the Concord, North Carolina driver who was quietly confident of his ability. And look at all the damage he's got there. In fact, the fact that he's able to drive it off the wall and back to the pits is a testimony for the construction of these cars, and also just a great piece of driving by Query when he realized that he was not going to be able to save it. Here's another look at it.
He was already loose, and he's going up the racetrack. He's standing on the brakes right now. He doesn't want to hit the outside retaining wall. It barely grazes into it, and it also has done some damage to the front end of the car. It looks like he may have possibly bent a tie rod as now his tire comes off the rim.
Query came into this race with a 134-point lead over Jody Ridley, who is still out there, still on the lead lap. Billy Bigley was a bit further back, 170 points behind, but barring calamity for Jody Ridley, this will tighten up the chase for the $110,000 championship battle.
Crew continuing to hustle around Freddie Query's car, just battling for points now.
The Miller 250, live Hooters Cup Racing here on Primes. This telecast of the Miller 250 is brought to you by Naturally Fresh Pure Spring Water. All water is not pure. Taste the quality of naturally fresh, pure spring water. By Red Dog Beer, be your own dog. And by Naturally Fresh Foods. If it has our name on it, it's 100% natural, 100% delicious, 100% naturally fresh. And you can see the work that's been done to Jimmy Cope to try to take care of that overheating problem. He was up as far as fourth, came to the pits a couple of moments ago, lost a lap, and he will try to work his way back to the front. He has made the biggest move in the points over the last 4 races from 11th to 6th.
Even though he did qualify well here on the clock, he had to come and be a qualifying race. He was out there doing quite well, and now he's experiencing overheating problems. They're working on the front end of the Freddie Query car, and parked right in front of him is Tony Walls, and Walls' car looks like it's got a rear end problem. Walls out of the car, taking a look at it, looks like he's retired a car that was capable of running in the top 3 this evening.
And Walls, not only a strong car here, but he's already got to be looking ahead to next week, because the Birmingham Speedway next Saturday night, June 22nd, will be the site for 250 laps of action. The Coca-Cola 250. We'll talk more about that in a couple of moments as Mike Cope is in the pits, or Jimmy Cope is in the pits, and Doug Rice is there.
Jimmy Cope in the pits, and right now there was the overflow vent that was shooting water out a moment ago. This water is coming straight out of the radiator. As you can see, they're pouring it in through 5-gallon containers right now, but it just keeps belching the water back out about as fast as they can put it in. So it may not be terminal at this point, but it will be before long for Jimmy Cope. This thing's just not holding the water, keeps overheating. It looks like Old Faithful every time they bring it back onto pit road. So for Jimmy Cope, a promising run is going to disappear as his car continues to geyser down pit road.
He was trying to stay out in front of the pace car so that he didn't lose another lap, and we will watch him. He's going to pass it by this time by. We're going to keep an eye on it and see what the story is, but Bill, kind of looked to me like that cap wasn't back in place.
Well, the cap wasn't on. He's going to make a return to the pits. He's probably trying to break an airlock in the cooling system. He could have an air bubble in there, and he's trying to get all the water he can into it. The unfortunate thing is he has now created a skid pad for himself. Let's see if he skids when he hits the water. Fortunately, he's able to stop it very quickly, but anybody else coming through that area while that water is on the racetrack may very well find themselves aquaplaning. More water going in, and it sure is gobbling a lot of it up for him to just driven around 1 lap, and there we see the radiator cap set to go back on.
And we have to wonder if that isn't naturally fresh, pure spring water they're using.
Could be. Could be.
Of course, that motor better not do anything sinister after we've touted the corporate product.
Well, he's back down the back straightaway. There's a guy that really is racing for beer, and that is Jimmy Cope.
And as we've got 165 laps on the board, that's the positions a little bit further back in the field as Freddie Query is 6th, Mike Garvey is 7th, Matt Kenseth sits in the 8th spot, David Jude 9th, and Billy Bigley is 10th. Now, they've had a lot of shuffling in these recent pit stops, and we believe that is a very unofficial running order. As we see it on the Speedway right now, we actually have, I believe, Mike Garvey in the top spot, as we've got handwritten scoring from Tony Boswell, the marketing director of the series, who's helping us with scoring tonight and communications between Hooters Sports Productions and USA Racing officials. And let's go back to the pits quickly, and Doug Rice.
Earlier tonight, we saw the spectacular sight of Ronnie Sanders' car flaming on the backstretch. Ronnie, you put on a show, but not the kind you wanted to tonight.
Well, the car was really hooked up, and we was moving up. We moved up in the top 10 from 22nd. Something happened to the motor. It had plenty of oil pressure, but it blew a rod out the side.
It flamed for a while. That's always a scary moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been burned one time, but, you know, we just have to get out of it.
So for Ronnie Sanders and the Country Fed meets tonight, a little too hot under the collar for this team.
We are less than a lap from going back to green. Let's reset the front for you, unofficially as we have it, and this is the way the Hooters race officials have set it up. The outside lane are the lead lap cars, and Mike Garvey will bring them back to the green. Rich Bickle is second, Matt Kenseth third. Despite his spin, Hal Goodson is fourth, fifth, Billy Bigley, sixth, Nevin Jenkins, another great run for him, and seventh, Derek Kelly, eighth, Dick Anderson, ninth, Jody Ridley, and 10th, John Crow. We've got 82 laps to go, and Bickle looking upstairs right away from the restart to see if he can get his second victory in just 2 starts this year in Hooters Cup racing.
Matt Kenseth trying to clear the traffic, moves up into third place clearly now behind our race leader, Mike Garvey. Rich Bickle riding in second place. Bickle looking for his second win here on the season. He would be the only repeat victor should he win, other than his teammate Freddie Query. Marty Lindley has pulled his car to the high side of the racetrack in turn 4 and may yet bring out another yellow flag.
And that is indeed what has happened as the yellow waves once again here for the 10th time. And really it has been an eventful race, but certainly not like the most recent visit here when we had 17 yellows and a red flag. We were tearing equipment up like crazy in that race. Yeah, we've got a lot of beaten and battered race cars here, but nothing like it was at that first visit back in April.
Well, everyone has paid a visit to the pits with the exception of Garvey and Kenseth. And Goodson, I believe Goodson has been in, but I believe that Garvey has yet to come in for any type of tires, nor has Kenseth.
And it's getting to the point where he's going to have to start making the decision. Now, the Miller Rookie of the Year program, we've got a number of first-year drivers in tonight's field. Some of them have fared well, some of them haven't. David Jude currently is the leader in the standings, and he's shed portions of his body panels tonight. Shane Rice crashed his primary car in qualifying yesterday, has been in a backup car, and has had his problems tonight. Derek Kelly is having a solid enough run this evening. Mike Fritz has also not had the kind of evening he would like to have, but he is still circulating this 4/10 mile Speedway. And Randy Renfro, a 2-time track champion here at Southern National Speedway, sits 5th in the points. There's a look at the rest of the drivers, some of whom are in tonight's field, as we are back to green once again. And just as before, Mike Garvey gets a good jump, but Rich Bickle won't let him get away.
It's really tight on these restarts. These drivers really have to have a bold heart. You really have to hang on when they see that green flag wave. Rich Bickle giving Mike Garvey a little tap out of the 4th corner as they work out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway.
And just at the top of your screen, the silver 68 is Matt Kenseth. Now, he led a good portion of this race. First time here earlier this year, then had a problem with the rear axle that took away a possible victory. He has won this year, but he is sitting in the 3rd spot and is in a very strong contending position. Let's go to the pits.
Bill Hennessy, you were speculating about Mike Garvey's tires. Those are the same tires he started the race with. I went and talked to 2 or 3 different crew members, said, are you going to change? When are you going to change? They just kind of shrugged their shoulders and he said, maybe not. It depends on what Mike has to say. But right now, they're the only team running up front on original rubber.
It's an impressive performance considering that Bickle is on 4 fresh Goodyears.
And I would have really thought that Bickle would have gone right on by Mike Garvey earlier than he has. And he may be just sitting back there realizing I've got fresh tires. I could go ahead and chance it by trying to pass him, but at the same time, we both might get into trouble. So when he makes the pass, it's going to be when he's very positive about being able to have a clean shot at the lead. Garvey works off the 2nd corner now and down the back straightaway.
This is a little bit further back in the pack. This is a battle for position. Jody Ridley sitting in the 8th spot. Inside is Larry Raines, having a tremendous run this year. On the high side, John Crow, who has to lift and goes inside, and just like that, Jody Ridley loses 2 positions at the last race. Larry Raines and Jody Ridley had contact several times.
really strung out now, single file. A couple of cars battling for position, but another car that's on the move, Dick Anderson. Dick Anderson looks like his car is pretty strong right now as he goes by Mike Fritz, who's a lap down and draws up behind the Hal Goodson machine.
I tell you, look at this. Look at
Larry Reid on the front straightaway.
Spin on the front straightaway. Ken Alexander has swapped ends. He's facing the field. And the leaders will go by slowly upstairs. And on lap 183, we are slowed for the 11th time.
Grease Lightning machine nosing around. The Chevrolet Monte Carlo sitting backwards on the racetrack right beneath the flag stand. 183 laps are in the record books here in Ketley, North Carolina, the Miller 250.
And we keep watching, and we keep watching and watching and watching to see what Mike Garvey may do. He does not come in this time by, even though the pits were open. And the drama continues to build as he is trying to pick up the $15,000 that goes to the winner. He's already done it once this year, did it at New Smyrna Speedway back at the beginning of May. $7,500 for second is nothing to sneeze at. Neither is any of the other payouts all the way through the top 32 positions, where there is a minimum of $1,000 for just starting tonight's race. That adds up to more than $75,000 in actual race purses, and along with the bonus awards that are out there for fast qualifier, halfway leader, top rookie, pushes $80,000+ every time they drop the green at a Hooters Cup race.
Well, we saw Jody Ridley back into the pits. Looks like he went back to some previously used tires to the right-hand side. Maybe they felt a little bit better than the last set he had on there. Meanwhile, it's Old Faithful. Once again, the geyser goes skyward on the Jimmy Cope car.
I was at Yellowstone Park, coincidentally enough, Memorial Week, and Old Faithful was just a little bit higher than that, but I think Jimmy Cope has been a little bit more regular in erupting that geyser over the past 25 laps. The green's back out. Garvey continues to lead. Bickle stays second. Third is Matt Kenseth. Fourth is Billy Bigley, having a terrific run. Fifth is Hal Goodson. Sixth is Dick Anderson. We've got great battles all the way through the top five as Bickle has caught Garvey. He did not let him get anywhere further out in front than just one car length this time around.
Several drivers trying to advance forward in the field. And right now the battle is up front. Here's a little further back, taking a look at Dick Anderson battling with Hal Goodson.
And there's change in position. Change in position for third could happen here momentarily as the 28, Billy Bigley Jr. And the Bigley Racing Chevrolet has got the angle on Kenseth. He's trying to take it. Look at this, a change for the lead up front. Contact. And Bickle goes to the point on lap 188. 188 that happens. Rich Bickle for the first time tonight has got that Dodge at the point.
Should Bickle win, he will be 3 for 4 in the outings for this brand new Dodge.
And you know those folks sitting up in Detroit that are backing this program, and Richard Petty sitting in Randleman, North Carolina, have to be cheering the effort. Rich Bickle, a man who's driven a lot of different race cars, including Winston Cup, Busch Grand National, the Super Trucks, or rather the Craftsman Trucks this year, and on the occasional opportunity, Hooters Cup races at the point, as Kenseth is now trying to hold on to fourth as Dick Anderson will go high, see if he can't get a good set and take the spot away as Kenseth appears to be fading.
192 laps are in the book right now, and the battle is continuing to be hot and heavy.
And we'll be back with the final quarter of this race from the Southern National Speedway here on Prime. Next time by 200 laps. 200 laps are now complete. Normally that would be the length of a Hooters Cup race, but we've got 50 more to go. Rich Bickle is at the point, and Doug Rice is in the pits with his crew chief.
Schuler, that's a couple of stats you guys got around Mike Garvey there. Is Rich giving it everything it's got right? Well, right at the moment, the longer it runs, the better it gets. We're hoping to stay green the rest of it. He looks like he's awfully stout. Yeah, we made a couple of changes in the pit stop, and they really fixed the car up pretty good. I'll tell you what, this is a big moment for Southern stock car fans because they got 43 and a Dodge leading a stock car race in North Carolina, and that's pretty big around these parts.
Well, you got to remember, 43 is being followed too, so that is pretty big.
Lee Petty's number, back from the old days. And boy, folks, if you've been following stock car racing for years, those are two of the most famous numerals you will find anywhere in motorsports. As Billy Bigley Jr., he's sitting in the third spot. They're not that far behind the race leaders as Dick Anderson, after making a pit stop to change all 4 tires on his entry, is working his way back toward the front. But Bigley has proven to be more than a match for anybody out there.
Bigley, a very tough competitor, leads Dick Anderson off the 4th quarter, even though he's got a fender flapping and is missing a part of a fender. That automobile is running very well here towards the end of this race. We say towards the end because normally we would have finished about 5 laps ago, but this race extended to 50 additional laps for the Miller 250 in Kenly, North Carolina.
And Bigley had a top 3 finish in the first visit here, so he knows how to get around this racetrack. But back up front, everybody is settled down for just a moment. Bickle's at the point, but we are a long way from being done here in Kenly, North Carolina. Go away. More Hooters Cup action continues on Prime. Moments ago, Dick Anderson was 5th. Now he's 3rd. That may not be for long as Matt Kenseth is pressuring him. Billy Bigley, the handle has definitely gone away on his Bigley Racing Chevrolet. He's not that far back, but he's definitely given up some positions, and he's given up about 5 feet a lap. But here's the best battle on the racetrack right now is Anderson, a winner at Toledo this year, a track where he was hurt last year, trying to work his way back to the point. Matt Kenseth, a winner at Anderson, doing the same. Here's an unofficial top 10 at 210 laps of tonight's race. Rich Bickle continues leading. Mike Garvey is 2nd. Anderson to 3rd. Kenseth is 4th. Billy Bigley 5th. Larry Raines a great run in 6th. 7th is John Crow. Hal Goodson is 8th. 9th is Nevin Jenkins, another top 10 run for the Rogers Party Wings driver. And 10th, Mr. All-Pro, Mr. Late Model, Jody Ridley.
Ridley is really hanging in there and still waiting for this race to kind of come his way. He always does that, always ends up with a good finish. He may very well find himself a little closer to a national championship title, especially in the points chase.
And lap traffic is starting to play a factor in this race for this position, and certainly among our race leaders. Speaking of which, the 2nd place car, Mike Garvey. What's the situation in the pits, Doug?
Chase him down. Can you guys chase back down the race leader?
We're not sure. We're going to roll the dice. Nothing happens. We're going all the way and see what happens.
I mean, you guys have played this thing out to the hill with no change of rubber at all tonight.
The car still feels about the same. It's just Bickle's got 4 new tires. We don't. We're going to chance it and go all the way.
You think he may come back again?
We hope.
All right, Mike Garvey has yet to take on rubber in this thing, and the bigger question may be, can he stretch it for the fuel? 250 laps around here is a long way.
Not one driver before the race who indicated that he would or even consider going the distance without fuel.
No, there wasn't a single one. Garvey, though, is trying to hang on. He's looking for a yellow. He'd like to see one because it would give him a chance to have fresh tires and fuel, and he can buy a little insurance, even though he'd have to work back through a considerable amount of traffic to get back to the front. But right now, Bickle is the driver who's starting to pull away from Garvey now as they come up on a lot of slow traffic, and a little further back, we see Dick Anderson slipping out in the 4th quarter.
Now, if you've been with us the entire telecast, you know that John Crow led early, then Dick Anderson took his turn on the point. Then Mike Garvey led for a good stretch of this race before Rich Bickle took over, and you'll also note that early in the broadcast we talked about tire wear, and we mentioned that for the first 40 or so laps that the tires will give up just a little bit, but the tires then will settle down, and that is what has happened to Mike Garvey. The handling on that car, even though his crew chief said, okay, it's not perfect, that car is one of the best on the Speedway, and they figure at this point, if they were to pit, there is no chance of victory, where at least this way, they might get the big check tonight. Who will get it? Well, we will find out in 25 laps as the dramatic conclusion of the Miller 250 is just moments away here on Prime. This has been the separation separation. The separation right here for the last 20 laps had been 2 car lengths, but now it is closer and will be that much closer after we go back green because Sean Graham has just gone around at turn 1 on lap 231 for our 12th yellow of the night.
Question is now, will Garvey pit? He has less than 20 laps to go. He'd have to work all the way back through all the cars on the racetrack to get back to the lead. I don't think he'll gamble on fresh rubber. It would surprise me if he did that. The only thing that I do worry a little bit about is the fact that, hey, he hasn't had any fuel, hasn't had any tires. The car's handling pretty well. He's riding in second place. Larry Robinson would say, look at the heat cycles of these tires. These tires are phenomenal. They're spec tires from Goodyear, a compound and a design that's over 2 decades old and is still performing well, and you see just how well they are doing on the car of Mike Garvey, the 42 machine, right behind car 43, Richie Bickle. Now that 43 you're seeing there is actually 143, and that's Sean Graham. He just spun around in the second quarter.
Coming into tonight's race, Freddie Curry had what appeared to be a comfortable points lead, but he has had all sorts of problems tonight, and Jody Ridley remains on the lead lap in the top 10, so these standings could very easily tighten up. Billy Bigley was having a strong run, but has faded just a little bit. Garvey having a tremendous race on the same tires he started. Hal Goodson's also in the top 7. John Crow having one of his more consistent runs of the evening. Darrell Shellnut parked his car earlier this evening because his mother took ill just before the race, and we wish her the very best. Mario Gosselin sits in the 10th spot as reigning series champ. Dick Anderson has had all sorts of problems, but he does have a win this year. There's a look at the rest of the top 15 and the top 20 as Larry Raines, who had been having a so-so season, having a tremendous run tonight. He's also sitting in the top 10, unofficially 6th at this point. Checked out. He is leading as we approach 5 laps to go. This is the battle for second. Matt Kenseth got past Mike Garvey several laps ago while we were away at break, and yellow is out as Larry Raines, who is having a tremendous run, top 6, will give up a few positions. The trick is, can he stay on the lead lap? He will have to get to the start-finish line ahead of Rich Bickle. He doesn't, so he will stay on the lead lap, but he will give up a couple of positions. We must complete this race under green. The final 10 laps have to be run under the green, so we will have 5 laps to go when we come by this time by Dick Anderson, who was fading drastically just as we were coming back in the air. He is now on the front stretch, and that spark show tells you why he was fading. There he's, you don't run too well at this track on 3 tires.
He lost the tire. It looks like the lug nuts came off, or the center broke out of the tire, and we'll tell when it stops. It looks like the lug nuts are still on the hub, but that car is stopped on the racetrack.
Let's go quickly to the pits and Doug Rice for an update.
And as you can see, Dick Anderson's car sitting on the raceway, and you're exactly right, Bill Hennessy. The left rear tire is completely gone off that car. Apparently, it started going down about 10 laps ago, and that's when you saw Dick Anderson start backing up through the field. It completely disintegrated. Now it's gone, hub and all. So Dick Anderson, who was looking at maybe a runner-up finish tonight, is going to be well back in the pack when they drop the checkered on this one. Here's another food for thought. I talked with Robert Chafin, the crew chief from Mike Garvey, the 42 machine. I said, Robert, can you guys go on fuel? He looked at me and he crossed his fingers. Now what could happen here is we continue to run laps under caution. We're actually going to add distance to this race. So what was a 250 lap race may turn into 256, 260, which could even make it a little bit closer to the fuel margin for Mike Garvey.
It's going to take them a few moments to get Dick Anderson off the track, and while they are doing that, we will take this opportunity to take a break and be back with the final 5 Thunder-filled laps here from the Southern National Speedway. A lot more to go on Prime, even though it's just 5 laps. Stay with us. Rich Bickle would appear to be in the catbird seat. He is at the point with 5 laps to go. There's Dick Anderson sitting in the pits. They had his car aimed the wrong direction, putting a tire on. But it would appear now that he might be done for the evening. The helmet is off, and there is no way that he can get the helmet back on and get out there quick enough.
Well, the wheel came off the car. He may have done some damage to the left rear hub on that machine. Could have been loose lug nuts or something like that, caused a shimmy. That's why he started slowing down. Finally, the wheel came off, but obviously the hub is too far damaged to put a new tire and wheel back on. So Dick Anderson climbs out of his car. There's 5 laps remaining, looking for 5 green flag laps here at Kenly, North Carolina at Southern National Raceway, and this the Miller 250.
And boy, if this doesn't look like a scene we saw at this same racetrack with this same driver not that long ago, a man who had such a strong run that he climbs out of his car before the end of the race, dejected. Let's go quickly to Doug as we're getting ready to go back green. In fact, we're going back green. This time by Doug very quickly.
For Dick Anderson, but it comes up short. Dick, I know you got to be really disappointed here tonight.
Well, I tell you what, I felt like we had the car to beat all night. But after we pitted, put on different tires, one of them had been leaking down. That's what slowed me down. It finally went all the way flat. So even though we had a good car, I guess that's racing luck. I can't seem to get any of it lately.
Seems like all your good luck's gone south. That's Dick Anderson out of it here late tonight.
He'll watch the finish, which is now only 3 laps away, as Rich Bickle is setting a pace that it appears Matt Kenseth might not be able to catch. Mike Garvey sits third. He's still under full power. He's getting an awful lot of mileage on a 1 tank of fuel here. He's gone more than 100 miles. He may not make it 2 times around the Speedway. Will determine the finish. Less than a mile for Rich Bickle at the points.
We should see a white flag this time from Dick Westfall, the flagman for the Hooters Series, as Rich Bickle takes his turn 4, and he's beneath the white. What will happen here in the final lap of competition? Mark Allen, can he hang on? Or will Matt Kenseth make a daring, bold move coming out of turn 4?
It will be, does Rich Bickle make a mistake? And he will not, and he will win for the 2nd time. Round number 8, the Miller 250. The $15,000 will go to the Wisconsin native. Another victory in stock car racing for Dodge. They have been few and far between over the years, as Ricky Sanders will finish sideways. A terrific race here tonight. They added 50 laps to it. It was 50 additional laps of excitement. And when we come back, we will start to talk with the stars of this event. It was a terrific one here at the Southern National Speedway. Stick around for the happy winners comments and the other top 3 finishers when we return right after this. Last weekend, Rich Bickle was driving the road course in Topeka in his Dodge truck. This evening, he drives the oval at Southern National Speedway in Kenly, North Carolina, and he picks up the victory, $15,000 here in 250 laps of racing. Doug Rice is standing by with tonight's winner.
I'm not sure the last time that a Dodge with a number 43 on the side won a race in the state of North Carolina, but I better know who was driving it, Rich Bickle. Great job tonight, buddy.
Well, you know, this call goes back to the boss. Rich Pitter gave me an opportunity to drive his truck, and Gene Eisenhower terminal truck, and decided we could paint the car like this. You know, we usually run the black and green, and we got the red, white, and blue, and can't say much enough for the guys. Put this car together and loaded here last week and ran awful fast with it. Went home to Wisconsin and kicked their butt up there with it. And I'll tell you what, I come here and ran awful strong. I was really loose there in the beginning. I come in, and, you know, the guys from the truck shop helped, and all the other guys helped, you know, my team, and made some change in the car. And I come out, and me and Garvey put on a heck of a race. But got to say thanks to the terminal truck and Gene Eisenhower, the boys, and
and Goodyear brought a good tire, you know, and everybody that's helped us along the way. I said when we left Wisconsin, we're gonna give them a shot down here and make it 2-2. But our goal is to go for 3-3 next weekend in Bristol. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, next weekend to Bristol with the trucks. Tonight it looked like there was 2 restarts as we do the hat dance here. You had 2 restarts toward the end of the race. Both of them you got great jumps on.
Yeah, when I come to the change, the car got tight, and I pushed it off the corner and get loose. I heard the right rear tire, so I knew I had to get a pretty good jump on the field. And another thing I got to say thanks and say hi to everybody back home in Wisconsin. I know there are a bunch of people watching this race back at home, and my dad and a bunch of guys, and we got this brand new car running good.
Now, of course, what you were referring to, you went up to up north with Dick Trickle and a whole bunch of guys who won the Slinger Nationals, and that was a big deal. You come down here, you're 2 for 2 in the Hooters Cup this year. You've done real well.
Well, we're 2 for 3. Went to Lakeland there and got tore up pretty bad towards the beginning of the race, but we only can run a few of these races, but hopefully this will help us get a little things going for Dodge, and we can get some R&D programs set up to do with truck stuff, and that's what we're looking forward to, is run a few of these races every year and make the truck run a little stronger.
Rich, I made mention of it when you first came in there, though, about the fact that you won in a race with the Dodge and number 43. Richard Petty made a pretty good living at doing that. That's got to be a little special for you, doesn't it?
Well, there's 2 questions I get asked the most. What's it like driving for him? And I can't say enough. The man is just, he's so cool. He's incredible. I mean, if you have a bad day, he's smiling. If you have a good day, he's smiling. And like I said, just he gave me an opportunity to be with his deal, and it's a big family up there, and I learned a lot about organization with him.
All right, so that's tonight's winner, Rich Bickle. He brought that Dodge home in first place. When we come back, we'll be talking second, third place, and so on from Kinley here tonight.
Tonight's telecast of the Miller 250 has been brought to you by Miller, We Race for Beer, and by Hooters Restaurants, home of world-famous chicken wings and nearly world-famous Hooter Girls. Hooters Restaurants, delightfully tacky yet unrefined, and by Naturally Fresh Foods. If it has our name on it, it's 100% natural, 100% delicious, 100% naturally fresh. Let's go back to Doug and second place.
Okay, if you got a little bit of money laying around and you want to put your name on the side of a race car, I got a pretty good candidate for you. Matt Kenseth, you drove it hard tonight. Second place, nice run out there.
Well, thanks a lot. We had a pretty good car. This left-hander chassis worked great the whole race, stayed under me well, and this Wagner motor really ran good, but I don't know, Rich used to whoop on me pretty good up in Wisconsin, and it looks like he came back here and did it. I was sort of hoping after he went super truck racing, he'd come back here and leave us alone, but he had a really good run out there.
He was awfully good on the last 2 restarts, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was. The restarts kind of saved me a little bit there, and I got by a little bit of traffic, but night was looking pretty glum when we got spun out that early in the race, and to come back and finish second is a really good job. We'll take that.
So for Matt Kenseth, the guy barely looks like he worked tonight. Actually, he looks pretty tired. It was a hot night, but Matt Kenseth comes home with a strong second-place finish. We'll catch up here with Mike Garvey in just a second, but let's go right back up to Mark Allen for just a second.
Now, if you stepped into your house late this evening and you didn't have a chance to get your VCR rolling early, and you're wondering what happened in the early laps of this race or some of the other great Hooters competition that we've had so far this year, well, there's a way you can get the best of Hooters Cup racing, and all you have to do is send a check for $29.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling to the address on your screen, and you'll get a great Hooters Cup race. We've got 20 of them coming your way this season, and boy, if you've missed some of the early events on these prime affiliates this year, you have missed some of the best short track racing you'll see anywhere in the United States. Well, Doug Rice, who's been the hardest working man on pit road, except maybe for Jimmy Cope and Freddie Query's crew, is caught up with third place man. What great strategy, Doug.
Third place tonight, Mike Garvey. Mike, if you guys gambled, you went all the way on 4 tires. Any thoughts now? Is hindsight 2020? Would you still have done it if you had to do it over again?
Now, the only way I'd do it over again is if we pitted on like lap 100, and we didn't want to pit that early. You know, the Coors Light Silver Bullet was running good at that time. The car was good and stable. We just wanted to keep going. And as long as we kept going green, we were fine. But what happened putting those cautions at the end there, the tires got hot and cold, went through too many heat cycles, and they just gave out at the end. But I'll tell you what, these Goodyear tires are awesome to go 250 laps here and still be stable at the end of the race. They're incredible. We got kind of bounced around there in that last restart, spun the tires a little bit, and some guys got underneath me, and we got back to about 5th, I think. So we worked our way back up, but we'll take 3rd. This is the first time for a new team. This is our own team now. We're doing it on our own, and I just want to thank LG Smith and Coors Light for backing us and having the confidence in us that we can do it ourselves. And this is for you, LG, and maybe next time we'll win one.
How does it feel coming to the racetrack now with your own stuff? This car behind you is yours.
That really makes you feel good, because now I don't have to please anybody but myself, and we've ran for some good car owners, but it's just, you're always wondering what they're thinking, I guess, and now I don't have to worry about it. I can do what I think the car needs. If I need 4 tires, I'll go buy 4 tires. If I need 20, I'll go buy 20, and it just gives you that confidence to do what you want and not have to explain yourself, I guess you'd say.
Well, Mike, after we haul out of here, it's down to Birmingham, Alabama. Tough little racetrack down there, isn't it?
I love it. I love any racetrack. Let's line them up. Let's race 200 more tonight.
All right, that's Mike Garvey. He's ready to go. He looks pretty fresh down here after 250 laps at Kinley. Comes home with a good 3rd place finish. Let's go back up to Mark Allen.
Well, if he thought he had fun tonight, he'll have fun next Saturday night when we go to Birmingham, Alabama. The Birmingham Speedway. It's been around since the turn of the century. We'll turn 250 circuits around that track in the Coca-Cola 250. And then on July 4th, make it your patriotic duty to visit USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida for the naturally fresh water 250. And we have had a couple of terrific races. These extra 50 laps here tonight did nothing to dilute the quality of competition.
Lakeland, Florida is really a racetrack that I'm looking forward to. It's a great facility right off the interstate down there.